Słuchasz podcastu Angielski z Konradem. Nowe odcinki każdego tygodnia. Jeśli chcesz popracować nad płynnością, nabrać odwagi do konwersacji, skorygować często popełniane błędy bądź poznać skuteczne metody nauki, ta audycja jest dla Ciebie. Remember, you're not at school, so chill out, kick back and enjoy yourself. Let's begin. Witaj w kolejnym odcinku. Zanim zaczniemy, pozwól, że pokrótce przypomnę, jak możesz wykorzystać mój podcast. Jeżeli czujesz się pewnie ze swoim angielskim, wystarczy, że przesłuchasz audycji. Dla tych z Was, którzy potrzebują odrobiny pomocy, pamiętajcie o notatkach do odcinka. Zatrzymuj podcast, przejrzyj notatki, w razie potrzeby powtórz nagranie. Zapisz się do newslettera za pośrednictwem strony angielskiskonradem.pl, by otrzymać natychmiastowy dostęp do notatek z tego i wszystkich poprzednich odcinków. Dostaniesz również powiadomienia o nowych odcinkach. Jeżeli masz pytania, uwagi bądź sugestie, skontaktuj się ze mną za pośrednictwem adresu angielskiskonradem@gmail.com bądź za pośrednictwem fanpage'a Angielski z Konradem na Facebooku. Switching to English.
Greetings! Welcome to another episode of the podcast. And Happy New Year, by the way. I'm your host, Konrad. I hope you'll love the show today. Let's begin with some vocabulary. Thief. Thief. Złodziej. Burglar. Burglar. Włamywacz. Pickpocket. Pickpocket. Kieszonkowiec. Robber. Robber. Rabuś. Report to somebody for. Report to somebody for. Zawiadomić kogoś o czymś. I know for a fact that right now the most popular podcasts are true crime drama. Seriously. There are at least 20 crime-related podcasts in the top 100 right now on Spotify. I decided to jump on the bandwagon and have a go myself, just for this episode. So here's my...
True Crime Stories with Konrad.
The story I'm going to tell today is, honest to God, based purely on facts. Our story takes place in the early 90s. It was a cold winter morning on the street of Olsztyn. A woman with a crooked neck in her 50s is walking towards the butcher's where she used to work. Her grandson, no older than 3, is struggling to keep up with her. He wasn't a good boy by any means. Some adults even called him a little devil, and not in a nice sort of way. He was expelled from kindergarten recently for throwing a Christmas tree down on the king and queen of a fancy dress party. He climbed every piece of furniture he could find. He stained his sister's favorite dress with ink. He pulled children's sandcastles down just out of spite. He was a menace. The boy was very impatient. He hated waiting. He didn't see any point in it. He didn't understand that this is the way society works, that there is an order of things and is there for a reason. Most of all, he found waiting incredibly dull. The boy's grandmother was chatting with her former workmate while the boy was getting more and more impatient. He was pulling her hand as hard as he could. After a while, she finally loosened the grip, and the boy was able to break free. He was running circles at the butcher's for a bit. Then the boy became bored and decided to leave the butcher's along with his grandmother. The boy exactly knew where to go next. His dad used to take him to an open-air market near the football stadium. He remembered it was full of amazing toys ready for grabs. These were strange times indeed. Not even one grown-up batted an eye at the sight of a 3-year-old boy walking about unattended in the middle of a big city. When he came to the market, it was full of people, browsing the goods, shopping for fake Levi's jeans and knockoff Adidas sneakers. There was also a few booths with miscellaneous bits and bobs, mostly household goods. The boy approached one of such booths where a certain weapon caught his eye. It was a purple plastic machine gun. However, it was covered by some extremely unamusing trinkets. The boy shoved them aside and reached for the gun. There was a lady on the other side of the counter. Her eyes and the boy's met for a moment. She wasn't able to do anything about the boy stealing from her. Perhaps it was due to the shock and disbelief that anyone would be daring enough to steal from her in broad daylight. The deed was done. It was the first thing the boy had ever stolen. With the prize in his hand, the boy left the market to give his weapon a whirl at a nearby park. He was having a great time, shooting at imaginary bad guys, just like in the film Commando. He was Arnold Schwarzenegger for what would be a lifetime in a child's mind. Then a mysterious figure started approaching him. It was a woman, but it wasn't his grandmother. She was calling out the boy's name, approaching him quickly. Out of panic, he began running away. The woman didn't give up the chase. Luckily, the boy was quicker, and he outran her. When he thought the chase was over, the boy stopped for a moment to catch his breath. He had another problem. He urgently needed to use the lavatory. With no restroom to be found, he had no choice but to pull down his trousers and relieve himself under a tree nearby. Then the woman caught up to him. She snatched him by the waist with his trousers still down. "You're in a lot of trouble," the woman said. That voice, it was unfamiliar to the boy when it screamed, but he recognized it now. It was the boy's mother. The boy was indeed in a lot of trouble. He was enrolled to another kindergarten, one even worse than the previous one. He was also banned from watching violent action films for a month. The punishment was severe, but fair. What about the machine gun? Well, the boy's mother wasn't able to find the woman from whom the boy stole the weapon. The next summer, it got chewed up by the boy's dog, and that was the end of it. And so ends our crime story. The boy had learned his lesson that day and have never stolen anything ever again. By the way, that boy was me. What a twist! Thanks for listening. In case you have forgotten, here's the revision of vocabulary for this episode with some example sentences. Additionally, you will find the translations in your notes. You will hear each sentence twice. Let's begin. Thief, thief, or thieves, złodziej, złodzieje. Americans think that taking towels from their hotel rooms doesn't make them thieves. Americans think that taking towels from their hotel rooms doesn't make them thieves. Burglar, burglar, włamywacz. The only thing the burglar took from the house was a pair of pricey sneakers. The only thing the burglar took from the house was a pair of pricey sneakers. Pickpocket, pickpocket, kieszonkowiec. Brad was a reverse pickpocket. Instead of taking valuables from purses, he would put some candy inside. Brad was a reverse pickpocket. Instead of taking valuables from purses, he would put some candy inside. Robber, robber. Rabuś. The robber forgot to put his balaclava before the robbery, so he was easily caught. The robber forgot to put his balaclava on before the robbery, so he was easily caught. Report to somebody for. Report to somebody for. Zawiadomić kogoś o czymś. Bob reported Mary to their boss for making constant jokes about the size of his head. Bob reported Mary to their boss for making constant jokes about the size of his head. Bob reported Mary to their boss for making constant jokes about the size of his head.
And that's the conclusion of today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time.